Welcome everyone. Nice to see you here. I'm Ariel. This is Urbanist, and today I am about to fly back to New York City. I got a flight at 6:50 p.m. UK time, and they announced my gate in about 40 minutes, a little bit less, 30 minutes. So I will be heading to my gate soon. But I want to jump on a live video, so you can feel free to ask me anything you would like about the UK. I'll show you a little bit of the airport from this point of view. I have unfortunately too heavy baggage to kind of walk around, and it's pretty small. The gates are all kind of separate from everything. I'm flying Delta. Well, actually, I'm flying Delta, but the specific plane I'm on is run by Virgin, so they have a partnership. I had to change my flight, so I went from specifically a Delta flight to a Virgin flight. So right over here is the airport. Some natural lighting is nice. We can't really see the planes because the actual gates are pretty far away, and I can't really walk to one of the gates because it's like a 20-minute walk to get to 4 different sets of gates, and they only announce the gate of your flight about an hour before the flight. So unfortunately, it's not an easy airport to kind of just stroll around. Hey, Debbie says, so glad your test results came back in time. They were a bit too close to call. I got them at 11 p.m. So for perspective, everyone, in order to get back into the US, you have to get a COVID test within the day, no more than 1 day before you arrive. To me, it's a bit unclear whether it's before departure or before arrival time. I'm assuming departure time. So I had to get my results no more than yesterday before 10 a.m. because my original flight was at 10 a.m. today. However, I didn't get my COVID test results because I got my test at 10 a.m. yesterday, and by 7 p.m. I wasn't getting any emails, so I was a bit worried that my COVID test results were going to arrive the morning of today, and I have to generally check in about 3 hours before, so I will have run in a very big risk of losing out on my flight. So I made the decision, and luckily I am in London, to switch over the flights to a little bit later in the day. And cool thing is, I'm going to JFK, New York, so there's multiple flights per day run by Delta or Delta in conjunction with other airliners. In this case today, Virgin Airlines. So I ended up getting my COVID test results at 11 p.m. last night, which if I would have slept early in order to prepare to wake up very early to go for a 10 a.m. flight, I would have not known if I would have gotten my results or not. So it would have been way too risky. Gwen says, when will you be back in the UK? Will you be back in the UK? So I have proof that I'll be back in the UK. I got the Oyster card. I got 14 pounds on this Oyster card. I ain't gonna let 14 pounds go. So luckily these don't expire, or at least not too soon. So I will be back to use the rest of these 14 pounds. What terminal is this? I'm in Terminal 3 right now. So if people want to track my flight, but please don't meet me at the airport. I'll let everyone know if you would like to know what my flight is. Evalu says, so you're leaving. I am leaving indeed. Were you surprised that Birmingham wasn't that bad? I didn't have too many preconceptions about Birmingham. I had a manager at one of my jobs at Gawker Media that was from that city, and he spoke very highly of it. So I had a good impression of it already for about 10 years. Because that was a little bit less than 10 years. That was about 7 years ago that I had that job with that manager. So I was actually surprised that Birmingham was pretty. I thought it was going to be more of kind of an industrial city, in lieu of like a Detroit or Baltimore. I thought it was going to look more like that, but no, actually it was very pretty. Is it challenging to adjust life back stateside when traveling overseas, says Dustin? Not really. I'm traveling to the UK. I've been to Europe and Mexico. A lot of these countries are pretty similar to New York City in terms of lifestyle, in terms of culture, and generally in language, because I both know English and Spanish. So it is pretty easy to adjust back to New York. Sometimes it's a bit difficult because one gets used to certain things. Like in Italy, I got used to really good quality food. And when I went back to New York, while New York has good food, it's not as high quality everywhere. New York, you can find very bad food and you can find very good food. The spectrum is wide. In Italy, it's generally very good almost everywhere. So that was a little bit of a difficult adjustment. I think from London to New York, probably nothing, because they're very similar. I'm just gonna miss the trains. I wish I could go back to New York and like go to like Boston casually for a day, but no, I can't because the trains take too long in New York. Or like Philly. Philly would be nice to visit on a day trip, but that would be a bit intense because Amtrak trains are expensive. They don't run as often, and they're pretty slow and are prone to delays. So it's not that many people do day trips to Philadelphia or like Baltimore or Rhode Island, Providence, Rhode Island. Ryan says the Northeast Corridor trains do travel often. Yeah, but I don't see them as convenient as a day trip. I'm not sure if the viewers who are saying, but we have okay trains in the Northeast in the U.S. Yeah, they're okay from an American perspective, but once you come to England, you'll see how easy it really is to take a day trip from city to city. A lot of the trains I was able to take from city to city were commuter trains, and they ran on the half hour generally. If it was between Manchester and Liverpool, that was on the like 20 minutes. Every 20 minutes it ran. And there was an express train that only took 40 minutes between both of those cities. To get between London and Cambridge, every train on the half hour for almost the entire day. It's something you don't see between New York, Philly, Baltimore, parts of Long Island, even like Newark. There's no way I can really, well, there is a train, but it's not that interesting, I think. Hey, Vita says, very true about what you're saying with Italy. Are you leaving the UK? I am, Adam. Yeah, I'm at the airport. I have about 20 minutes for my gate announcement, so feel free to ask me anything. Deb says, did you manage to sleep well? I did sleep well, yes. I stayed in a very comfy hotel, and she was saying after eating all that pulled pork. So that pulled pork yesterday was some of the best food I've had in my entire trip. Bar none. Watch the video yesterday. If you want to, just skip towards the last 15 minutes, 10 minutes or so. That is in the top 5 best meals I had in the UK. Truly some of the most exceptional sliced pork belly stew that I've tried anywhere. And there's a few different cuisines that do that in the US. Oh my God. Really mind-blowing. I did not even expect it. The place kind of looked like a regular kind of casual Chinese place. But no, it was high-end restaurant quality. So a lot of people are going to ask me this. And moderators, feel free to repeat this from now on. Maybe I'll write it down. But my top meals in the UK, I'll give you 5 of them, was that Chinese food place from Cafe TPT in Chinatown, London. The second, the top one, in my opinion, the one I loved the most, that blew me away for its uniqueness and for its high quality, was the black pudding toast that I featured in my first Manchester live video. That black pudding toast, I went there back 3 times. I was obsessed. That was a great, great meal. And the black pudding, I ended up finding out on my 3rd time going there. I spoke with the waitress that was working, and she was telling me, yeah, they make it made to order. That was fresh black pudding. That was not given by a purveyor, as most black pudding would be in most restaurants, because it's kind of crazy to make your own black pudding. So that blew me away. And the fact that they had turmeric and they had beautiful sourdough bread that was super thick and butter. Oh my God, the best one. So a third was in Glastonbury. I went to a place called Queen of Cups, which is a reference to the tarot, the deck of cards where you can divinate the future. That was a Middle Eastern influence using local English ingredients, specifically from Somerset. So there was like falafel. I had a beautiful Middle Eastern type of yogurt, but made with local ingredients and local kind of flavors. And wow, that place is featured on a short video on TikTok and on Facebook. So check me out. Urbanist Live on Facebook, and TikTok is Ariel Vera. And the reason I went there was because there was a Google review that said, go there quickly before it gets booked for months when it gets 2 Michelin stars. And I can see why. And Glastonbury did not have that much good food, unfortunately. I mean, there was a good coffee shop with some good breakfast, but there was not that much exceptional food in Glastonbury. But that one, oh my God, it's worth visiting Glastonbury just for having a night at the Queen of Cups. I would say my 4th favorite was the avocado toast from Watch House. I did not really feature that, so that was featured briefly in the Instagram story. But I do recommend it. They're really good. And then I think the 5th best dish I had was the meat pies from Birmingham, which were, wow, mind-blowingly delicious. Watch that. That's also on the TikTok/Facebook video. Hey, Sally says, where are you? I just came on. I'm at the airport. Christine says, have a safe trip home. Queen of Cups look incredibly delicious, says Gwen. It did indeed. They were going to invite me back, so I wish I was in Glastonbury one day. Yes, I'm in Heathrow, London Heathrow, which is one of the 7 London airports. There's a lot of airports in London. Christine, thank you so much for the stars. George says there was no meat pie fiasco here. No, I tried like mediocre pies here, but no, there was no meat pie fiasco, luckily. There was no terrible meat pies here. Have you checked if the plane has, how long is your flight, says Pamela? 8 hours, I think. 8 hours. It's a long flight. Wow. Yeah, 8 hours. Quite long. What's your favorite city in the UK? Well, I love London, but the city I really connected with the most was Manchester. What are you going to miss from the UK and Scotland, says Adam. Well, I'll answer them separately because what I noticed is Scotland is a very different country from England. Of course, English is spoken, but it just feels very different. Very, very different. So from Scotland, I think I miss Edinburgh. You know, it was so beautiful being in this city with gorgeous old architecture and these gorgeous little tiny coffee shops that were very quaint, quiet, and had very good food. And they also had a lot of vegan options, surprisingly. So I really loved Edinburgh for the coffee shop scene. No wonder J.K. Rowling wrote the biggest selling children's fiction series of novels in modern history at an Edinburgh cafe. It does not surprise me after going to Edinburgh. What I'm going to miss from from England in general, is the pub culture. I wish the US had more pubs. Of course we have pubs, but they don't feel like a English pub or Irish. Of course Scottish were also similar in pubs. But the cool thing about English pubs is that they are places that are pretty brightly lit, not too darkly lit, like you have with American bars that just make it so dark that sometimes you can't see the person across from you. And there's a variety of people, old and young. Sometimes people go there with their families, especially during the day. And pubs tend to have some food along with the amazing beers and draft beers. So I love that. And then the music is usually not too loud like an American bar. So you can actually speak with people. And so it's a really, really cool atmosphere. And it's a really cool place to just kind of hang out in. I wish New York had that. We have very, very few, and most of them are pretty much adults only. It's not really legal to allow kids to go into a pub. Hey, Joe says, I just wanted to wish you a happy holiday. Texas says, plus you found a nice jumper. I did. Well, lots of pubs have to offer food to survive. Well, yeah, of course, but it's cool. It's a cool culture. I mean, the very word pub means public house, and they offer food for good reason. They were always supposed to be living spaces. So I have two bags. This is the one I'm carrying with me. And the reason it's so heavy is because I have a bag that I checked, but this other bag, I ended up buying another jumper that was very colorful, but it's also very thick and heavy. So I got two very big jumpers in here. Of course, with a lot of other stuff. I'll have all my gear inside here and laptop and things like that. Buy any souvenirs? Not too much. I bought gifts for someone, but not too many. I don't think I bought any souvenirs. I just bought books. Does your plane have a pub in the cockpit? I wish it did, Ron. I wish it did. I hope you come back to visit Ireland one day. Michael, yeah, I was contemplating going back to Ireland. I had a lot of success in Ireland. I'm going to reach out to Irish tourism, see if we can work something out. But I was thinking about how interesting Ireland was in its culture. And I'm glad I went to the UK because it made me appreciate the finer differences between these two lovely countries. There are differences. People tend to kind of bundle them all up together, and they tend to say, "Oh," with a lot of Irish actors, people just sometimes call them English, which is, considering the history, is a bit insulting. But also not just the history; it's a different culture, and they're beautiful in their own right. But they have their cool differences. So it's worth visiting both. Heathrow is known for having excellent Wi-Fi. Yeah, I have a steady connection. I have a full HD live stream right now. How expensive were combinations, says Pablo? Very expensive. Ireland before was the most expensive trip I had. This exceeded it. I mean, I stayed 1 weekend in a hotel, which I just posted a short video on Facebook and TikTok. Do follow me there, because YouTube does not have 3-minute shorts yet. I'm posting the 1-minute shorts, but YouTube, their shorts platform was only 3 minutes maximum, so it kind of sucks. I hope they expand it soon. But yeah, I stayed in a hotel right in a neighborhood called Whitechapel, which was right by, people are photobombing me, right by Shoreditch. So that neighborhood was very centrally located, and I was spending $800 for like a weekend, like 4 days. It was very expensive. I didn't realize how expensive UK was going to be in lodging, because Italy is so cheap in comparison. Greece too, in comparison. I mean, the hotels here were as expensive as Santorini, and Santorini is supposed to be one of the more expensive destinations in Europe. What time is your flight? 6:50. 6:50, which is 18:50. And my gate is announced in 10 minutes. Cash or credit, says Pamela. I always do card, so I can keep track of my expenses for tax reasons. Also, it's safer with card because if anything happens, it's easier to get a refund. That's how I found out. Also, I booked hotels that I can cancel. So I did pay just a little bit of a premium for hotels that were easy to cancel or switch around plans. I think it's better to have flexibility, especially nowadays when there's still COVID restrictions in some places, so you never know what could happen. And that's why I rather book hotels where I can change things. Carmen says, good chat. Living is getting more expensive in Europe. Yeah, I can imagine, especially in England, says Ludo. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, New York is the same. New York apartment prices are getting crazy. For anyone who even wants to Airbnb as a tourist in New York. Oh my God, for like 1 month, it's like $4,000 to stay in Manhattan or Northern Queens, which Northern Queens is not really that touristy yet. It costs $4,000. I was trying to help a friend find lodging in New York, and I was seeing Astoria for an apartment is $4,000 a month. That's insane. Ariel, do you plan to go to Spain in the near future? Says George. Great question. I did not have the best experience in Madrid. So I did do a week in Madrid back in 2019 after I visited the UK. I did not have the best experience, but I am curious about Barcelona. Enchanted Journey says, tell me about it. I'm currently looking at New York City and its crazy prices. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why a fellow live streamer, Action Kid, decided to move to Florida. Do you step foot in your land, Lord Ariel, says Ron. No, I did not get to visit my great estate in Glencoe. My lavish, expansive 1 square foot in Glencoe. If people don't know, amazing mega urbanist bought me 1 square foot of land in Glencoe, Scotland, in the Highlands. And because of that, I have officially, by documentation, by the official agencies or organizations in Scotland, I am a lord. Montreal or South Africa? Well, I've done Montreal before. I did a week in Montreal back in 2018. I'm tempted to go back to Montreal since it's so close to New York City. I hope COVID restrictions are down in Canada. I gotta look into that. But South Africa would be really interesting. I don't know what the situation is. And every time I see a vlogger go to South Africa, they always seem to have a bad experience with things being stolen. I'm not sure if this is pure coincidence with a few content creators, but I heard that there's a little bit more crime there. So I'm very curious about South Africa, but I'm also a little bit nervous. And especially doing live video, while it can be fascinating to see a place that might be a little bit more edgy, it feels more it feels more risky on live video, because live video, I'm live, and the intention of a live video is to show an experience that's generally longer than 20 minutes. And one is more vulnerable if you can't really shut down the camera. Because if it were edited videos, I can film for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes in a place and then move on and shoot somewhere else. Dorinda says, Amsterdam is so pretty. Yes. I can't wait to go to Amsterdam. Their restrictions are still pretty heavy, and it kind of sucks. I don't agree with the restrictions that they have, and I don't want to partake. So if they do lessen the restrictions to go to Amsterdam, I will go. I'm super hyped to go to Amsterdam. Mater says Egypt. Egypt is an interesting place. I would go, especially for just the Great Pyramids. How about Puerto Rico? I would love to go to Puerto Rico. Yeah, I would love to go to Puerto Rico. I don't like driving a car too much, but for Puerto Rico, I think I will. Yahya says, does anyone know where Ariel's going? Do I have a window seat? I don't have a window seat, but apparently the flight is pretty empty. So if you want to track my flight, it's DL5991. DL5991. Just please don't meet me at the airport. That wouldn't be cool. Lewis says you'll be attracting Hulum's attention in South Africa for sure. Yeah, I can imagine. All right, I got 3 minutes until gate announcement. Would you like to do a live vlog in Tenerife? Yes, Eugene. I would love to go to Tenerife, which is one of the Virgin Islands, because part of my ancestors come directly from the Canary Islands. I said Virgin Islands by mistake. From the Canary Islands. So both of my families, mom and dad's side, those last names come directly from the Canary Islands, specifically from Tenerife. My last name, Vieira, is from Tenerife and also Portugal. So there's origins in those two countries. And there's a famous sardine company that's called Vieira that I think is based there as well. Do you listen to music, watch movies during your breaks? During your flight, says Veronica. Yeah. I like the in-flight entertainment. Cool thing is with these airliners like Delta, I hope Virgin Atlantic has an in-flight system. I think they do. Almost every airliner does nowadays. They usually have a good selection of movies. I usually partake in the movie. Sometimes I do research if I'm going to a new country. But airplanes are so kind of loud and uncomfortable, in my opinion, that I find a movie to be more pleasant during a flight, because a movie tends to immerse you more deeply than the documentary or listening to a podcast, or reading. So I always watch a movie just to kind of forget about being on the plane. I mean, being on the plane is a beautiful thing, but it's also really uncomfortable. David says, Geek 28, thank you so much for checking in, David. I appreciate you. Okay, everyone, I'm sticking around for 5 more minutes. Feel free to ask me anything else for 5 more minutes. Luckily, my gate has been announced. I can walk over there. Anthony says, one streamer recorded his flight. Yes, Action Kid recorded his entire flight from New York to Florida. Very impressive. He must be tiring on the arm. I'm not sure if he used the suction cup, but if he used his arm, that's very tiring. He stayed there for, 2 hours, 3 hours holding the camera? Actually, it's not that bad. But if you were to film a flight from London to New York, that would be more intense. But I would love to do that someday. Imagine doing a live stream all while flying. Toronto says, are you flying to Toronto? No, I'm not. Have you been to Munich? No, but I'm very tempted to cover Germany. Again, those countries have tough restrictions, so I'm still not keen on going. Do you feel safe in the UK? I did. Peter, I felt more safe in the UK than I did in New York City. In every city I've been to. I did not go to one place in the UK where I felt unsafe. My entire trip, yep. Nowhere. I've been to other places in Europe that I felt more uncomfortable in. And I've noticed, in general, you don't really encounter too many people who look threatening as much as you do in New York. Let me know if you're a New Yorker or if you visited many times as a tourist. You probably know exactly what I'm saying. You encounter people who have kind of a more threatening look. Not meaning that you'll be in danger, not meaning that necessarily crime is going to happen to you, or you're going to be a victim of crime, but you just encounter more of those people who have that kind of threatening look. But I noticed here in the UK, I have not encountered people who look threatening or in the US we would use a term called hoodlums, which would be, it's a weighted term, but you don't, in UK you don't encounter people who you feel like you're in danger too much. B. Griffith says New York is filled with odd people. Yes, it's filled with odd people. So there's the odd people, but there's also just general. There's people just in general that sometimes look a little bit more threatening. Do you like plain food, says Ron? Delta does an okay job with plain food. The best plain food I've had personally has been Emirates Airways and Turkish Airlines. Turkish Airlines, the great thing I like about Turkish Airlines is that they give you a little Turkish delight in the beginning of the flight. Turkish delights are such a delight. Ivo says being 5'2" helps. Oh yeah. All right, I got 2 more minutes. Ariel, can you do a segment on the find the most comparable eateries in New York City similar to your UK visit? That's a good one. Dustin, I've already covered that. Check out a video, search Little Britain Urbanist. I have an entire live video where I actually do a tour of the different British eateries, all concentrated in an area that is called Little Britain in West Village. So I already have one full video on that. But maybe I'll cover it. I'm not sure if I'll be in New York long. I still haven't planned anything yet, but I don't think I'll be there long. I really want to travel again. Nicole says, yes, I experienced that at every New York City trip. Yep. I think it's something in America as well. This is Americans in general, some of them have more of a threatening look. And in cases in other countries, but I've noticed in the UK, very rare. Have a good flight. See you on the next tour. Do you have something planned? Not yet, Debbie. I'll let everyone know what the schedule is, but I'll most likely be live this Saturday. Stay tuned Saturday. I will announce the time. Do Did you do a comparable video to Boston's North Ends? Boston's North Ends Italian eateries are not really that similar to Italy. They're very Italian American. But Boston is an amazing city. I'm tempted to go there again. Sarah says, have a safe, fantastic flight. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, Sarah. Sarah was such a darling to show me beautiful Birmingham. And it was a beautiful, beautiful city. I was so glad that I got a local to show me all around. I'll keep an eye open, says Debbie. Yes, I will put on the exact time. I'll be live. Next Saturday will be the next scheduled live video. Taking a few days break. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Now my gate has been announced. Time to go and fly off across the pond back to my native America. UK was such a pleasure. It was a beautiful country to visit. Sorry I didn't get to all the questions that everyone asked. Perhaps on Saturday you can ask me a few more questions about the UK. I'm happy to answer them. If not, watch my TikTok videos, Ariel Vera, and on Facebook, Urbanist Live. They're posted both there, and hopefully soon I'll start posting them on YouTube once shorts are extended to 3 minutes. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Keep being awesome, and always keep on exploring. Have a good day, everyone. And cheerio.